Welcome everybody, you having a good time? Okay, it's time to put some star power now into Mindrock's 18. Not that the people who are on stage just now aren't stars, but you know what I'm talking about. Okay, our next speaker. I can't think of a person who's had her hands more full this year than the person you're going to see on stage. You already know who it is, but I'm going to introduce her anyway because she's been everywhere you look. She's loved every moment of it, and she's totally greedy for more. She's been a viral sensation all through the year so far from the film industry, and I'm not counting Priyanka and Nick because that wasn't virality based on work. This was actually virality based on work. The person you're going to see on stage right now is someone who has been described as thinking cinema's new poster girl, with eyes that speak a million words when she's on screen. She's just finished a foreign film. She's hungry to do more foreign films, and I can tell you that she could very well be India's proud new export into foreign cinema, world cinema, and perhaps Hollywood as well. It's our privilege here at Mind Rocks to welcome on stage Radhika Apte.
आज से तेरी सारी गलियां मेरी हो गई आज से मेरा घर तेरा हो गया आज से तेरी सारी गलियां मेरी हो गई
Radhika, welcome.
Thank you for the introduction.
I have to get something off my chest right off the bat because this has been eating me up. I don't know how many people here know that Radhika Apte doesn't say yes to selfies. So if anyone here is planning to come up to Radhika and say, can I take a selfie with you, please? Here's your first warning for the morning. She doesn't give selfies. Radhika, please tell us why you are close to selfies.
Thank you for starting this discussion with this topic. So basically, yes, it's true that I don't give selfies. And a lot of people around me have made me feel like for not doing that. And everyone's just told me, like, why can't you just give a selfie? What's the problem? Why are you so rude? And why are you so snobbish? And the truth is, I'm not snobbish or rude to not give selfies. Honestly, I'm so grateful for everybody that comes up to me and says that I really appreciate your work. I really appreciate that so much. But I find selfies exhausting. And they drain me. And I find it very tiring to give selfies from different angles, that to multiple selfies, to each person. And then there's a long queue. I just cannot do it. I think it's very exhausting. And also, there's this new culture of selfies, I think. You know, with social media, where it's quite obsessive. The way people constantly put selfies, and you take so many selfies in order to choose one selfie that is going to look best. I'm a bit scared of that culture. I'm a bit scared of being part of that. So that's the real reason. And but I talk to everybody that comes up to me. I greet them more importantly.
Okay. Yeah, as you know, as a viral sensation, and you know, I enjoyed all the Netflix memes and everything. I'm going to come to that. I don't care. You know, I'm going to ask that question at some point in the next 20 minutes. So don't worry. I will ask about Netflix. But you know, as someone who went viral this year in a big way, Radhika, you know, you don't like social media very much. I mean, or at least you're not very involved in it. Why? I mean, you find it depressing, it disturbs you. Why don't you like social media?
I think social media is amazing. The reach it has and the kind of information you can get is insane. But I just find it a bit depressing for myself to be on social media for more than a given amount of time every day. I just think social media is a bubble that is not real necessarily. You know, the feelings that you go through when you go through social media all the time are fabricated. They're not real. And you see things and you make judgments and you make things in your head that what is going on. That's not reality. Reality is something else. And which is why I find it very depressing. Which is why I never read any comments. I never, I follow very few people. I check the feed maybe once a day or maybe once in 2 days, but I also make sure that I don't check it in the night unless I'm going to be awake for a long time, like just before sleeping. So I personally can't deal with it for what is required, and I use it for my work. And I think I've tried to put a good balance. Sometimes I use it for personal use, which is very rare. But I know its uses. I mean, I don't undermine it.
So, anyone who's tagging Radhika on social media and hoping to get a response from her, know that she's not being rude. She just doesn't use social media very much. So that's clarification number 2. Okay, now getting back.
On my Facebook, the timeline thing is off. So any tagged thing doesn't
notifications.
come to me. No.
Okay, great. Okay, so that's pretty rare because there are actors who aren't on social media at all. And there are actors who are on social media and very wired and respond to everything and are very, involved in what's going on, the political fighting, etc. And there are people like you who are on social media but just choose not to be plugged in. Okay, now I want to talk about, why you became such a especially big deal this year. I mean, Radhika has been in films for many years. This year, there was a great deal of attention paid to the fantastic good work she's done on Netflix and otherwise. There was Padman, a lot of great work that you did. Do you agree or disagree, Radhika, that 2018 was Radhika Apte's big breakout year? And why?
I don't agree with that, really. I do understand that this whole thing went viral, and I do know that I did Padman, which was a massive success. And of course, you do a film with Balkin, you do a film with Akshay Kumar, and you do a film on such a good subject. It's going to be big, and it was a good film. Usually I do smaller films, so clearly that happened. But I don't think it was my big breakout year or anything. I mean, I think Netflix is amazing. Let me only talk about Netflix without you asking about it. But Netflix is brilliant. I think their marketing team is just superb. How they turned the trolls around and made that into their own strategy. I think it's brilliant. Absolutely.
I've seen an interview where you said, I watch Netflix all the time and I want to be on Netflix.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you go home, you watch Netflix. So if you're going to be on Netflix, that's great. But the truth is, the reason why I don't believe that it was a big thing is because in Love Stories, I was a part of a short film. It was an anthology. In Sacred Games, I had a small part. It was only Ghoul in which I was leading the show. So the whole trolls only didn't make sense. I mean, if I was leading 3 shows, I understand them going like, oh my God, all 3 shows are led by this person and, so we are talking about it. I understand that, but that was not the case. So I didn't understand the trolls to begin with, which is why I don't believe that that's the truth. And though I appreciate Netflix a lot, I think they're just a great company and great platform to be associated with. So I enjoyed all the attention. I enjoyed all the memes that were sent to me on my phone by friends. They were hilarious. And somebody told me once that if you have memes, that's a good thing. If you're a part of the pop culture, that's great.
No, there's no doubt about it. If you've got memes about you, it means you've arrived at an entirely separate level.
So I was okay, I'll take your word for it.
But part of that attention also was not very generous. There were some snide remarks about you. As someone who's not very plugged into what the trolls say, as you put it, how do you deal with that? Do you just ignore it?
I don't know what they were. Yeah. If you can tell me, I can tell you how I react. But I actually don't know.
I do know that people say, there were many.
Too much of Radhika Apte or something.
Too much of Radhika Apte, same expression in every.
Yeah.
It's always the same sort of serious expression.
Yeah.
There were lots of ungenerous things.
To be honest with you, one of the ungenerous things was so funny because I was actually with some friends and we were just going through something and she was like, there's some hilarious things about your face. So I said that, please tell me what, because I don't read them. And somebody said something really funny and I know I should feel bad about it, but I thought that was very creative. They said my face sometimes looks like the pani puri is over and I'm waiting for the dry puri to come. And I thought that was extremely funny. And I mean, you need to have that expression sometimes in your life, right? So if you take a picture exactly at that time, there's not much I can do about it. But I don't take it. I don't take it personally. People talk about you because they're giving you attention. Great, do it. I just think there are too many things in life that's far more important than reading this.
In Ahalya, you know, you play this mysterious seductress. In Lust Stories, the story of which you wrote, and you know, you've actually said that you arrived on set without really knowing what was going to happen, and we also saw how that turned out. Do you think, Radhika, that you are somehow now at the forefront of this revamp in the representation of female sexuality in film?
I mean, I don't know.
Because you're a risk-taking actor. That's clear.
I know, you know, people ask me, whether you risk-taking, you do unconventional parts, and I think that all the parts that you're calling unconventional are your lives, or people that you know very well around you. So it's the most conventional, it's the most actually obvious and relatable character. So it's not unconventional, you know what I mean? We're just used to having unconventional characters played in cinema. Characters who are always happy or going to have a happily ever after life or are just good people or bad people or whatever it is. So I personally don't think that way. I didn't watch that kind of cinema very much either. So I don't want, I mean, I think I can't alone change anything. I think there is a army of women and men right now who are trying to change everything and look at it from a different point of view. And we all can be a part of that on the way we react to things, the way we promote things on your own social medias or friends or families or whatever. So we all have an influence on the other person, I think. My whole thing, if anything, is that I think we should look at things for what they are and not how we are taught to look at things. I think that's it, really.
You know, you're considered the queen of the independent space right now, Radhika. You have done some, you know, big budget, big studio films. Padman was one of them. It was a big success. Are you looking specifically as an actor at these big ticket, big budget, big studio films? You've done enough in independent because that's becoming a crowded space as well.
No, I'm looking at good work. And that's always been my, what I'm looking for. Which is why I have worked in all languages, 7 languages. I've worked across platforms, whether it's a digital short film, whatever, TV, cinema, anything. I've never bothered, big budget, small budget, everything. I've done all sorts of things because I've never had that as my reasons to do things. I just want to do good work. I want to do work that's going to challenge me. I want to do work that's going to make me happy. So,
for instance, would you ever see yourself in a big Karan Johar production?
Sure, if the role is challenging and if I think he's a really good filmmaker. He's amazing. He's versatile, and I have grown up watching his films. I'd love to be a part of his film. You know, I mean, as I'm saying, I have no apprehensions. You give me something that's going to be exciting and challenging, and actually, I am somebody who surrenders to the director completely. So I'd love to explore his vision or anybody else's vision and challenge myself and surprise myself that, oh, I can do that. I didn't know this came out of me. Yeah.
You know, not many people know that when R. Balki approached Radhika for Padman, Radhika was actually surprised. And she said, why me? This role appears to me just the opposite you know, of the kind of roles that I do or the person I am. And he said that's precisely, you know, why we want you for that role. And I think that's where the risk-taking metaphor really applies to you. Because, you know, you've played a raw agent, you've played a seductress, you've played a woman who isn't afraid of asking for what she wants. Do you think, Radhika, that as this sort of Swiss Army knife in the industry, who can do many things, is there anything that Radhika Apte cannot do? Does that put a special burden on you? Because you're not very old in the film industry, you're a few years old in it, but is that a special burden for you?
See, the way I don't take the fact that people think I have the same expression in every film that I do seriously. Not seriously, but that I really don't take seriously. Similarly, I don't take too much pressure of such compliments either. I mean, though they're great. I mean, it's such a nice thing to know, but I don't take the pressure. I want the freedom to fail. I want to be able to work without that pressure and sort of feel like I can focus only on work and not on what other people are saying. I'm sure I'll fail miserably, you know what I mean? And I have. All the parts that I've gotten a lot of compliments for, I've also gotten criticized for. And I'm happy with both because you can't grow otherwise.
You know, as someone who's been so busy this year, and, you know, we were just talking outside and you said that you've practically had just one bit of time off this year. It's just been work, 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 and now hopefully you're going to get a few days off to, you know, come up for air again, Radhika. But how do you deal with constant work? Does that fuel you? Do you ever, you know, exhaust yourself? I mean, anyone who spends 8 or 9 months with just a single break in between, what would you say to someone like that? I mean, how do you keep yourself going?
You know, I've discovered very lately, my father is a workaholic, and I wasn't. I was very chilled out in college, really. And
he's a neurosurgeon.
He's a neurosurgeon, yeah. And very lately, I've probably, you know, 30s is a weird age. Those who are not 30 are lucky as yet. But
I don't think anyone's 30 here.
But 30 is a weird age. You discover things about yourself which just come as a shock. It's strange, I think, and all the people that are my close friends who are in their 30s as well are feeling the same thing. And I think I'm just discovering that probably I am a workaholic. You know, I do feed off work, and I do like sort of put myself in most difficult work situations when my personal life is giving me problems. So I have literally like put my head in work, not looking anywhere else, but I think it's time to take a break and sort of refuel and have a new perspective on life.
And your personal life too. Your husband is abroad.
Yeah.
You're here. How do you
It's
make that
hard.
work?
It's very hard. We've been having a long distance relationship for 7 years. So constant travel, constant missing each other, being alone, not being alone. It's difficult. Families elsewhere. I find it so funny. There's a point in my family, everyone was in a different city, just living alone. Like, you know, a big family and everyone's living alone in a room everywhere, somewhere else. But that's today's reality, and one has to deal with it. We like it, but we don't understand the consequences are quite dire. It's fine. I mean, it's fine. It's just to understand everything, deal with it consciously is very important.
Okay, I have a couple more questions, and I'm going to open it up because I saw a few hands going up as well for audience questions. But you know, Radhika, you play powerful characters on screen. Off screen, you know, we haven't seen you take political positions like we've seen certain other actors do. You have been vocal about the Me Too movement, however, globally. Why do you think there hasn't been a Me Too movement in Indian cinema?
See, it's a very big question. I mean, I don't think I can answer this question in a brief answer. See, power game is, you're talking about power game, right? Basically. When you talk about abuse and exploitation. Now, power game is everywhere. Whether it's sexual, gender power game, whether it's economic power game, whether it's whatever other religious power game or whatever it is everywhere. You've got to fight it everywhere. If you're talking about if in the film industry, women getting abused or women getting sexually harassed by men, it's a very specific chapter we are talking about. It happens everywhere. It happens in your own house. It's very tricky, you know, when you hear of a piece of news and when you say, oh my God, that man should be banned from working now. And this person who's actually saying on social media that, oh my God, this person, I'm never going to look at his films again, is probably abusing his own wife at home. I'm just saying that it's a tricky one. What we need to have, rather than these extreme points of views where, you know, either you go like, this is fine, or you go like take this man away or whatever. We need to have a system. We need to have transparency. We need to have information. And like I had an incident actually recently on a foreign film, not The Wedding Guest and not the other film. It's another film that I'll announce soon, just so that you don't have speculations. But I had an incident on a film where I had hurt my back, and my back was completely like sore, and I couldn't move. So I was working in this film, but I literally was in horrible pain. And then I was going to my room, and I was in the elevator with a man from the film. And we didn't know each other very much, but he was like, oh, we are on the same floor. I said, yeah, seems like it. He said, just tell me in the middle of the night or day, whenever you need me to rub your back, I'll come to your room to give you a rub. So I looked at him. I didn't know what to say. And he was an older man. So I said, good night. And I went to my room. But the producer and director had a system in place which they had made every crew member aware that if you feel uncomfortable sexually, ethnically, or any other way, any hierarchy, you need to come and tell us. We want the atmosphere to be such that we want you to come and speak to us. You want you to feel free to speak to us. So I went and I spoke to the team, and they said, okay, we'll take care of it. They apparently had a meeting with this man, which I wasn't aware of. I was told much later when the film finished. And they spoke to this man. The man actually didn't even realize that he had done something wrong, because he comes from a specific part of the world where this is the culture. This is how he speaks to women, and he actually didn't realize. So the person had to sit him down and say, do you understand why this is uncomfortable? And when he realized, he felt so bad. But the good thing was, in the rest of the schedule, he never made me feel uncomfortable for having gone and spoken to the producer. He never made me uncomfortable by making any other comment. In fact, he was so respectful towards me. And he was so careful, and he apologized. And that felt so nice. It didn't make me feel like I was putting fingers and sort of negating that person completely from where he came from. So now this is just one example. Does that mean that all the people that we have already spoken about from Hollywood is wrong? No, it's not. I'm just trying to say it's such a gray area. It's such a huge place to have just one single opinion. I think we need to have a system in place. We need to be able to speak. We need to be able to have the courage and the support system to talk openly so that we all understand. So why it is not in India, I don't know. But I think people need to come out of fear. People need to come together. And it's not just about women. I keep saying this. Do you know how many men are abused in this industry or just in this country? There are. So we just need to look out for everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. We've almost out of time, so we've got time for maybe 2 or 3 questions. Yeah, the young man in blue there, yeah. Can you get him a mic?
Hi, Radhika. This is Ansh.
Hi,
Firstly, I would like to compliment your work in Last Stories. It was really effortless. The monologue while you were sitting on the couch, that was so natural. I mean, I could literally say that you haven't acted in this. You were just, this is so you. First for that. Secondly, I really like your voice. It's amazing. I don't know, it's a little unique. The question that I want to ask is, so you were talking about good work. So what do you define good work as? So what are the prerequisites that you think about, or what are the conditions that you think while approaching certain
Before you say yes
projects?
to a film.
Yeah. So thank you, by the way, for all your compliments. So basically, see, you watch a film, and I can think that, oh, what a great film. And you might go and say, oh, what a crap film. And that's good or bad, really. Whatever I like is good for me. So it's very subjective. So if I read a script or read a character and go like, oh, this is very interesting. I love the way it's written. I want to be a part of this. It's challenging. I've not done something like this before. I'd love to explore this character. Then that's good. I mean, just what I like, basically.
Questions? Yeah, there. Yeah, okay, first him, then there. Yeah. There.
Good afternoon, Radhika ma'am.
Where are you? One second.
Yeah, here.
Ah, okay. Hi.
Right in the middle.
मी पण मराठी आहे, तुम्ही पण मराठी आहात. गणपतीच्या खूप खूप शुभेच्छा.
तुम्हाला पण.
2 questions, simple. First, I know that Marathi traditional culture is different. So, and now Radhika Apte, Marathi girl, is conquering Hindi cinema. So, what struggle you faced during this entire phase? And second, I want to dance with you on Sairat track.
Hi, thank you. I'll start from your second request. I'm so sorry, that's not going to be possible. Because he just told me no one's allowed to come on stage. I don't do this program. Don't say how
He's
much.
putting it on us. That's okay.
He just told me that.
Okay, first question.
Well, the first question, is your question that because I'm Marathi, what did problems I faced, or you're just saying I'm Marathi and then asking me what are the problems I faced?
The latter. If I
The latter, right? The second one. Okay. Yeah, I'm Marathi. I'm very happy to be Maharashtrian, and I'm so Maharashtrian that my entire education was in Marathi, not even semi-English, Marathi. So, just telling you that in spite of being all that Marathi, I just don't like to be called anything. Maharashtrian, Marathi, Indian, anything. I think I'd love to be a world citizen. I hope there are no boundaries of any sorts and categories of any sorts. But what are the struggles I faced? Basically, this is a difficult industry in the sense that there is no one particular way of getting work. It's not that you can go to a school, do a degree and get high marks and go. It's not even that you have drama schools like you have abroad. It's not even when I came in that there are particular casting directors, you go register your name and then they'll call you for auditions. Now it's been changing, of course. So there's an industry where you go to Bombay and you go like, okay, how am I supposed to do this? I don't know anybody. Where am I supposed to start? What am I supposed to do so that I get work? And there is, like, no two people's journeys are the same because it's just no method to it. You have to find your own way. You have to make Mumbai your own city and home. So it's just confusing. And most importantly, then you struggle with the fact that it's great to dream about being a part of the film industry, but you need to understand that it's not only driven by talent. It's driven by so many other things which are not in your control. How you look, how tall are you, what is your skin color, what does your figure look like, how are your social skills, blah, blah, blah. So you need to really focus on the fact that, no, I'm going to turn all this into my advantage rather than my disadvantage. And all the things you're telling me are going to be my plus point. I'm dusky, yes, it's going to be my plus point. I have a funny nose, okay, it's going to be my plus point. Whatever it is. So I think it takes time for you to do that. I think it's still taking time for me to come to terms with that. Again, it's a freelance industry, so you are always struggling to get the next project. There's never any guarantee about work. Whether you're there, whether you're here, whether you're there, you're always thinking, oh my God, am I going to be able to maintain what I have today? Am I going to be able to go up, or is my career over? There's so many people telling you so many things, you feel like, oh, this is the end of my career, most of the times. So all these are struggles, I think. Competing with age, competing with gender, competing with just definitely so many kinds of hierarchies. So I think they're all challenging, they're very hard. But I'll tell you what, I wouldn't do anything else but this job because I absolutely love it. So, yeah.
Okay, before I take the next audience question, Radhika, I'm very tempted to ask. One of the most filmy things in our country right now is that we are in an election year. And I'm sure you don't, I don't know if you watch primetime debates or you have the time to watch TV at all, but do you have political views? Do you keep in touch with the things that people are saying? We've got a lot of interesting characters in our political landscape right now. Some of them would make fantastic films in the future, maybe. There's Modi, there's Rahul. Do you have any favorites? Do you actually keep in touch? What are your thoughts?
I do keep in touch as much as I need to. I particularly, very consciously never comment on anything. I I just find the whole thing very overwhelming and slightly, what's the word? Makes me low a little bit. I mean, just to know what's going on and how it is going on. And to be honest with you, I also feel a little bit of this thing that I'm not doing anything for it. So it's sort of a mixture of emotions, but yeah, I really hope things change.
Okay, so you hope things change. Let's see, we're in an election year. Okay, yeah, there. There, the man in green.
Hi.
Hi, my name is Ankit, and what I wanted to ask, like, if in a series of years, like, so let's say you are giving this challenging roles, which has got deep impact on all of us, we all agree to that. So do you feel in like coming years, you need to challenge yourself and do a role, let's say a Pooh in Kabhi Khushi Kabhi Gum, or like a Bollywood fairy actress movie wherein very, very fairy things, not very genuine, wherein you need to actually act, which is not your comfort zone, as I believe. So do you think you will take that challenge, or you will look for projects in which your comfort zone is like a very deep impact, or let's say which has got deep impact on audience? So what will be your option?
See, it's nothing to do with deep. It's got to do with again challenge and excitement. So many films you must have seen, whether they're in Bollywood or Hollywood or just in general in world, where it's fictitious. Everything is fictitious. The characters are fictitious. Their dresses are fictitious. They're not real characters. You don't see people like that around you. But that's a huge challenge to play. So does that mean all those characters come in the same category? They don't. You know what I mean? In that category also, there's the fictitious characters, unreal characters. There also you can make a choice of saying that this is not a great character, but this is, and I'd like to play that. So I'm open to everything as long as I find it's going to make me happy. I want to be able to get out of bed and say, oh, I'm going to work, rather than going, oh my God, I can't believe this is not over yet. So that's basically it.
You know, Radhika, one of the things you've said is that, and this is absolutely true, that there is a dearth of South Asian women in world cinema. That, you have freed up into not very many other faces. And while you've said that, nobody should be aiming specifically at Hollywood, that something needs to be done. Are you looking to be that woman? Are you looking to be that big Indian face or South Asian face in world cinema?
I think I'm admiring what Priyanka's doing so much, because she's like sort of been there and like fought that battle so much. It's amazing. But I think there is a dearth. I'm not saying aim for Hollywood in the sense that that's not the dream. The dream is to have equal representation everywhere. Similarly, like I was just doing some interviews in Toronto last week, and I said, it's in Canada. We were in Canada, in Toronto, or you go to New York, or you go to LA, wherever. When you get out of your house, do you know how many South Asians there are? So many South Asians. So I said that then why on screen you have a different number? So it's actually abnormal to not have that on screen. It's, you know what I mean? Rather than, so I said we need more people on screen. And I think Dev Patel, because I just did a film with him, I also know what other things he is doing. He has managed to crack that where you don't have to be brown-skinned. So you don't have to be Indian just because you're brown-skinned or whatever. Like he's playing Copperfield. He's playing David Copperfield in the next film. I said, that's amazing that you've broken that. Just because I'm brown-skinned doesn't mean I have to be cast as something which is cliched or stereotypical.
Last couple of questions. Taking off on what you were just talking about, Radhika. Are there differences, you've just done a foreign film, are there differences you saw in working with Indian crews and foreign crews? What were the differences?
I mean, I've just done 2 films, and I think Michael Winterbottom's film is a Michael Winterbottom's film. It's not foreign or Indian. He has his own unique way of working, so I don't know how to compare. But yeah, people generally come on time when you're working abroad. Here, nobody does. You get paid on time. Here, you don't. These are very important differences, I think.
Okay, so you don't get paid on time, people don't show up on time. Very, very important differences which will be familiar to people everywhere, not just in the film industry, I have to clarify. Okay, we've got time, I think, for 2 more questions. So, yeah, the young man in the black t-shirt.
Hello.
There are any women who want to ask questions? We've only had guys so far. So if there are any women, please raise your hands. I'll come to you next. Okay, I'll come to you next. Go ahead.
Okay. Hi, Radhika. Anshul this side.
Hi, Anshul.
Recently, in last couple of years, the films with deep meanings are creating an impact on Indian society. But still, a lot of commercial movies are being made which are hopelessly, don't make any sense. And 65% of the people are in 15 to 25 years of age, those who go to watch movies. So what is your take on that, and how do you think Indian youth can change, because producers will give them a lot of money. But
Okay.
how do
So
you change
basically-
the attitude?
Got it.
Yeah, sorry, I got your questions. Thank you. See, the thing is that when you say commercial and when you say deep as a different thing, it's not a different thing. Any film you're trying to sell is commercial. You know what I mean? But I do understand your point, and I think we've had a tradition of a kind of cinema, which is now changing, and now there are more familiar stories, relatable stories about you and me also being told. I have a brother who's 15 years younger, so he's in his prime, right? He's like 18. And he watches all the films that I would never want him to watch, and I hardly go home to Pune, so there isn't much I can do about it. I can't just suddenly go once in 6 months and go that I should tell you what you should watch. So I don't do that. But I find it deeply disturbing that he watches films and those songs and those fights and really tripping on that. So I hope things change too. But I think we need to change it from our homes also, right? We need to say that, no, we don't want to watch that kind of films. We will not go and watch it. And somewhere it needs to change from there. Is that for us? It's very pressurizing. But
That is in fact for us. But you wanted to finish your answer? And
no,
then
but sort of you got the answer, right? I mean, that's why we are trying to not do that kind of cinema and try to watch the other kind of cinema more and promote that and blah, blah, blah.
Okay, my apologies to the young lady there. We're completely out of time. You heard the scary alarm going off, so that's our cue to get off stage. I'm very sorry. I'll try and make it up to you another time. But thank you very much, Radhika.
Thank
You've been
you
very
so
honest with us
much.
as usual. Radhika Apte.